Hey everybody, it's me, Nazy. Hello everyone. I want to apologize for being not so active on YouTube for the past couple of weeks. I had a family emergency and I got pretty sick, so I wanted to take some time off and just spend time with my family. But I am back and I am ready to begin the Halloween festivities. Yes, it is a week and a half until Halloween, but there's, no time like the present, and it's never late than never. Wait. It's never late than never. It's better than never. Anyway, today is better than never. I had an idea to film a scary journal with me where I can share some of my spooky stories. I have some very scary stories that I think you guys would love to hear, and you can share your scary stories below as well. So, in order to do that, I need some Halloween paper crafting supplies. So, that is why I'm at Michael's. I have my wallet, my keys so that I don't get locked out of my car, and my fairy glasses. I call these my fairy glasses. They're extra. I know. This is so unnecessary, but I mean, I just feel like a cute little fairy in them. I'm living my fairy dreams. And let's see what we can find at Michael's. I am choosing this page to work on in my journal. It is the last page, finally, in my journal that I have left to write anything in, and so I thought it would be perfect to go back in time and recollect all of those scary moments and scary situations that I've been in, and I thought it would be really fun to document them since Halloween is coming up. The papers that I'm using and ephemera to decorate my page are some Halloween styled papers that I purchased from Michael's. As you can see, they don't necessarily scream out Halloween or scary papers when you first look at them. I wanted them to contrast really nicely with the pink florals on the left. That is from a vintage wallpaper pocket that I made, and I really think that the colors and the papers go really well together. And I'm cutting them up into little squares because I want to turn them into a flip out so I can be able to journal on the back and then on the paper. Now this little Fright Night I loved because it reminded me of the Harry Potter movie font, which I love. I always watch Harry Potter for Halloween, and so that's going to be turned into a belly band. And now I'm cutting off little tiny fragments of a Tim Holtz playing card, like an imitation playing card. The design is beautiful, but I thought it was way too busy to just include the whole card on the page. So I am grabbing some glue. You can use any kind of glue. Usually I use double-sided tape, but I had some fabric glue, I believe, sitting right next to me, and it worked like a charm. It worked perfectly for adhering paper to paper. So here I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to use the Fright Night to make it a belly band. And I like doing this prior to adhering any type of glue onto my pockets or my little belly bands, because once you glue it down you can't take that back. So it's nice to kind of plan out what you want to put before you adhere it with adhesive. So now I am just gluing the back of my scrapbook paper, since it's white, using some vintage ledger paper, and this is an amazing way to use a lot of paper scraps for one journaling page. I know we all have boxes, well, at least I do, of paper scraps, and I always look for different ways to use them to adhere onto different types of papers for writing spaces. And now I'm taking some washi tape. I wanted to use some colorful washi tape, so that's some blues and some pinks, just because I don't want the page to just be black and white. I typically don't like to use the color black in my journals unless it has to do with a specific theme, such as something scary or Halloween, but I did want to incorporate little pops of color, so washi tape is perfect for that, and the washi tape serves as a perfect little way of creating a little tip-in. So now that I have the layout of my journaling page pretty much done, now it's time to add the details. So I'm going into my little sticker pile, and these are some letter stickers that I got from a craft store. I do not remember which one, but I'm labeling the little tabs that I created from the Tim Holtz playing cards, and one of them says camp and the other says ghosts, and you'll learn later on what those two things have to do with my scary stories. I thought it would be really quirky to include little labels of what I'm going to be writing about behind the flip out, so give you kind of like a hint to what's behind. And that's something that I really like to do, especially if it's something like talking about a ghost story or talking about scary moments. You don't necessarily want it to be the first thing that you see when you open up your journal. So this is a fun and interactive, cute way of documenting some moments that you might not want to be front and center in your journal. Since I knew I was going to be writing a lot, I wanted to create another type of journaling card that I could slip into the pocket that I made. And so I am using some vintage papers from my collection, and I am creating a little mini collage right where I am placing the tab that I made using my tab punch. This is a great way, like I said, to use your scraps and collage the journaling pages that you're going to write on. Instead of just having a plain piece of paper, you can decorate it a little bit more using papers that have special meaning to you, or just using things that make you happy. So here I'm just placing a little vintage stamp in the corner. It doesn't have to mean anything to the story, but I just liked how the pink and the blue is being represented in the washi and also in my little collage bits. I am also trying to use up my stickers. This is a really cute little bird sticker, and I liked it because it had a gray and black outline to it. There was no color to it, so I thought it really went well with the black tones on the scrapbook paper. So that is pretty much all that I did to decorate that little journal page, and I took it right into that pocket. And that pocket, it's kind of like a secret tuck spot pocket, so if I didn't put the tab there, the writing could have just gotten lost. So when you do create a pocket like this, I do suggest creating a tab for it. Now I'm going on to the other side of my wallpaper pocket, as you can see here, and I thought that I left it too bare. I needed to include something onto that, so I used some of that really pretty scrapbook paper that is my favorite. It's one of my favorites. It coordinated well with the pinks and the purples that were on this layout. It contrasted the black really well too. And let's just be honest, sometimes including random papers that make you happy in your journal are those little special details that make your journal unique to you because you chose it. So now I'm just using some stickers in the bottom corner to decorate it a little bit more. And I decided to leave the rest of the space to my writing. And I am using a white Jelly Roll pen. I got it at Michael's as well, and it is perfect for writing on any type of dark colored scrapbook paper. I am using it to write one of my favorite quotes, which says, "No matter how chaotic it is, wildflowers will still spring in the middle of nowhere." And I think that quote just goes well with anything that you experience in life. No matter how chaotic your life is or is going to be, no matter what happens, you will always come back on top and you will always bloom again, and sometimes even better. So I really, really appreciate that quote. I really love it, and it's something that I stand by. And then I am doing a couple of doodles. I fell in love with the pen at this moment. You can see I was getting a little bit pen happy, and I wanted to journal a little bit more about how I felt in this moment while I was journaling. Even though this whole spread was going to be, about a fright night, about a scary moment, or a couple of scary moments in my life, I wanted to contrast the other half and show the beauty that even in the midst of scary moments or negative times, even when you think it's dark, the light will always be seen, and you can always find something to bring you back to your core and to bring you back to the happiness that we all are born with. So I wanted to journal a little bit more, and what I loved about my little journaling page is that it was sporadic. It wasn't planned. I just wrote what I was thinking in this moment while I was filming the journaling process onto paper. And I think that that's essentially what a journal is, just to get your mind, the thoughts in your mind onto paper, which at the end of the day is the most important thing if you're using a journal. So now moving on to the scary side. This is the story of my ghost experience as well as my family. We have experienced a couple of creepy moments regarding a ghost that we believe was in our house, and depending on if you believe in ghosts or not, completely respect anybody's beliefs. I think it's really fun to hear everyone's sides when it comes to the paranormal, but this story all began with a very young and naive and ignorant Nazy back in middle school, and I actually played the Ouija board with a couple of my friends. It was not my idea. I had no idea what it was, but I just knew it wasn't something that was meant to be messed with. And we played it in this cabin up in the woods, like pretty much the story plot for a horrific horror movie. So we played the Ouija board and things started happening that were really creepy. Apparently, the ghost that we were talking to was a little boy. He was around the age of 9 years old, which is what he told us through the game. And at the time, I didn't know if it was real or not. I kind of took it as a joke. But once we left the cabin and we went back to my house, I believe one of my friends took the Ouija board with her. Really creepy things happened at my house. My dad started seeing shadows where he thought it was my siblings entering a room, but he checked and there was nothing there. One time when I was home alone, in my bedroom in my parents' house, it was the last room in this long corridor. While I walked through it, I just felt a really weird presence, and when I got to my room, I heard children's voices, and there was no one in my house at this time. And I wasn't going crazy, and I have perfect hearing, so it really creeped me out. And when I told my parents about it, they let me know that my brother actually saw something in the closet. Lights were turning off randomly in the bathroom, and my parents, or my dad, he thought it was a good idea to, if there is something going on, to record it. So he placed a camera, and one of the cameras was in the basement, which was the creepiest place in my house. No one went into the basement. And in the camera, in the footage, my dad saw that the camera zoomed in and out by itself. And the only way to do that was manually pressing a button on the camera. And once it zoomed in and out of itself, it tipped over. After that, we knew that things or something was in our house, and occasionally things would move from here to there, but we just tried to keep a good energy in the house. My mom actually banned scary movies for I think 2 to 3 years, and to make sure that the lights were turned on, and slowly things stopped happening, and to this day, nothing creepy has happened thus far. So the second story that I'm moving on to is actually the camp story. And this is pretty short and simple. Basically, we went camping, me and my friends, a group of friends, a couple of years ago. And while we were camping and hiking, we came upon this really weird campsite. It had basically like the Blair Witch Project, but in real life. Weird stick figurines hanging from trees. There were satanic symbols spray painted onto things. Red paint, or what we believe to be red paint, at least we hoped. Stones piled up in really weird ways. There was a fort created and a chair that was broken in the center. Just really creepy things that we came upon. And so when we saw this whole campsite, we just all started running for our lives, and eventually we got to our campsite. And that very same night, the police were looking through the campsite because there was a missing person that occasionally went missing in the woods. So that is the other creepy story. I remember that was the last time we went camping in that actual park, and we have chosen a different campsite since then. So those are my two scary stories. I hope that you guys enjoyed. The other things that I wrote on the tag were my top 5 favorite scary movies. You can see them right there. And I also wrote some other scary stuff in my little journal page that I created to go into the text spot. Basically, some of my biggest fears. So you can pause that and read through that if you're interested. Some of them are actually pretty scary, but other ones are like my phobias, such as veins and roller coasters. So I truly hope that you guys enjoyed this little episode. Definitely feel free to share any of your scary stories below. And until next time, I hope that you have a beautiful day filled with peace and love and no scary moments. Bye-bye.